Welcome back to the Fast, Wet, and Wild Show, and we're here with Elaine Gordon-Evans. Would like to thank Elaine for taking time out of her busy schedule again to come and be here on the Fast, Wet, and Wild Show. We've kind of diverted ourselves a little bit from what we usually do. Usually we have drivers and crew and officials and things like that. This time we have the wife of Mark Evans on here, and we're going to ask her one thing. She said ask Mark how he blocks. So we're going to find out, how does Mark block?
Well, sometimes when I go to a karate class, I'll come home and use him as my dummy, so to speak, and try out all kinds of things on him. And a couple times I miss and got a little below the belt. So he's a good blocker now, you know.
So tell us a little bit about your karate. So I understand from your article in the newspaper there that you hold a black belt in karate.
Yes, I do. Spent a couple of years competing across America, nationally and internationally, and I really enjoy. I really excel in fighting, actually.
Do you do the full contact?
Actually, it's non-contact, but make no mistake, you get beat up quite a bit. You know, they say non-contact, but you know, you're on the ground and they're kicking you in the face or something like that. So it's pretty brutal. But the point is you have to get good enough where you just brush their hair. I mean, you can kick to the head and just touch their hair without, knocking their head off.
Right.
And when I first started, I about knocked everybody's head off, their helmet, their head, And my instructor would put this dummy head and say, "This is what Elaine did today to this one and that one," and he'd put big gashes in the dummy head. But as you grow and learn more self-control, it's a lot better to just tap them and play a game of cat and mouse is what it is.
Well, cool. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So,
You're such a small stature. There's the guy thing coming through again. It's hard to believe that you're a black belt in karate.
Mm-hmm.
That's really something.
Yeah, it's not how big or small you are. I mean, if somebody was really bigger, of course, he can get a hold of me and hang on to me. But if I had that one opening and that one opportunity, I'll either blow out his kneecaps or pop his eyes out or something. So, I mean, it takes only that one shot that you can, execute. And, you don't sit there and take them out like Bruce Lee. You maim them and then you run.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the key.
Right.
But you get them good. So I always say I hope nobody attacks me because I would feel sorry for what I would do to them,
Very good. Yeah.
But it's like, it's not that they're just hurting you. They're hurting everyone who knows you. So, that's the thing that runs through your head.
Right. Yes. And not only that, but if you don't take them out somehow, some way, they're going to
they'll hurt you.
Move on to somebody else.
And yes, of course. So, but I've never had to use it, and I hope I don't ever have to. But at least I know how to take care of myself.
Well, right. Remind me to take you to the taverns with me. You can protect me.
I have to tell you a funny story. I went to Chicago with Mark, and he was working on this project with Stout Tool, the portable bandsaw, and we were on the subway in Chicago, and these kids got on. They looked like they were going to do a couple of guys in, and they were all sitting there going, "Well, Elaine's with us, so we're safe." I'm like, oh my gosh. A bunch of men, and they were like calm because I was sitting there, And all I did was whip out a picture of Mark Evans. Here, my husband drives at 220 miles an hour. That was the cool thing.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't that, I was trying to be tough with them, but it was the picture. And then they looked and they couldn't believe, like, "Hey, this is you? You do this?" It was kind of funny.
Well, yeah, you kind of divert away from,
Yeah, psychology, wisdom is more powerful than strength.
Oh, so. Yeah. I like that. That's good. Well, okay, then I won't have to take you to the taverns with me now.
No, that's okay. I can go. I hang around with Mark, so we do a lot of stuff, but it's kind of fun.
So what was it like when you first saw Mark do his crash? Was it pretty...
Oh, it was amazing. Actually, I didn't see the actual crash because somebody else was spinning out. Mike Hansen was spinning out, and I was with the crew chief, and he was just mentioning to Mark, be careful, Mark, because you're coming around the turn, and Mike Hansen had spun out. So we were watching the spin out, and then the kid from the tower who's on our crew comes down and said, "Did you see the flip? Did you see Mark flip?" About grabbed his shirt and nearly choked him. What? And we didn't see it. Nobody really saw it until the boat was just floating in the water. And, it was pretty scary. I was trying to be really calm and not lose it. Like, I've seen other wives lose it, and it's really hard not to because it's pretty scary. But I was pretty calm, and, the crew chief got on a boat and went out there and stuck a walkie-talkie in Mark's face, so to speak, and he said that he was fine, but the real adventure was on the way to the hospital. When they were in the emergency room and they cut his uniform off of him, and about 20 doctors swarmed him, and I told them they'd have to arrest me to get me out of that room. And they didn't mess with me. So it was 7 days in the trauma unit. It was pretty scary.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know if I'd ever want to go through that again. So it was pretty hard.
So does that make you want to tell him not to race, or did you ask him not to race again, or is that treading on information that...
No, it's terrible. I mean, I'm an advocate for racing. I love racing, and I will never tell him to not race. I'm always encouraging, but when he says I'm not going to race, of course, I'm happy, but I mean, I trust his driving. I mean, he's actually safer in a boat than he is in a car. So I really do trust his driving, and it is scary. But I mean, look at all the racing he's done all these years where he's been fine.
Sure.
So everybody focuses on what can happen, but it's really up to him.
Yeah. And it's got to make you very proud too when he comes in and he's done good or won a race, and that's got to be quite exciting for you also.
Yes, he won the Tri-Cities race, and it was the most exciting thing. I mean, it was my first year racing. We were only married like 6 months, so everything was so new to me. And even in the truck, when he gets his race face on, he puts his gloves on. I mean, in my mind, it was like a slow motion movie, like. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and that part of the racing I'm going to miss, being with everyone. And
sure,
I'm a lot like Mark, where I go around and say hi to everyone, and it was kind of fun.
Cool.
So,
okay, tell us a little bit about your son and that article. What newspaper was that article in? I don't recall.
Paul and I made the cover of the Pacific Northwest magazine, which was the Seattle Times.
Right.
And they wrote an article. My son was in the paper like 18 times in the Times. And this reporter happened to find Paul on the internet, just searching for a new story. And he ran across Paul, and the editor said, "We've reported on Paul enough." So the answer is no. And this guy, Richard Sevens, is a really great reporter, and he wanted to have Paul on that cover of that magazine and write the story of Paul's filmmaking. And when Paul was younger, he raised $250,000 for a little boy's liver transplant at 15.
$250,000.
And 15, and then he went to Congress and lobbied the United States Congress because after he got the money, they wouldn't give the boy the transplant. There was a ruling of the organs, the sickest first. He went up against Donna Shalala, who was the head of Health and Human Services, and he lobbied Congress. So
at 15?
At 16.
At 16.
And
oh, geez, at 16.
A few months older, 16.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And then after that, Paul was scheduled to go to the Air Force Academy, and he turned down the academy right after Columbine. He made it. He was ready to leave in 2 weeks and graduate high school at 17, and Columbine happened, and he came home from school, and he said, "I'm not graduating." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I'm postponing my graduation." And I'm like, "Nobody postpones their graduation." And he goes, "No, I'm going to go into a public school and reach out on youth violence." And I'm like, where did you think of this, And but because of what he did with Eric Gervais and raising the money for the little boy's liver transplant, I said, okay, we'll go along with this one, So we actually went to the school he was attending to see if he can finish a fifth year there, and they thought we were kind of a little off the wall, so I kind of left there real discouraged. And we went to the local public school, and they really thought the idea was great. So he went in that school, made a movie on a school shooting that ended positive that landed on HBO.
Wow,
so I mean, cool. 17 years old, and Paul was a filmmaker.
Right.
And right now this summer, he's going to remake the movie for Hollywood, and they're going to start shooting the film in June sometime, June, July.
Wow, that's going to make you extremely proud of that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Those days I worked for Paul and did all his media and his publicity and marketing and stuff, you know, because I was his mom.
Uh-huh.
But now it's like I might get a real job and get paid for it, you know, pretty exciting.
No
But
kidding.
yes, it makes me really proud of Paul. And my son Jonathan is younger and does all the music for Paul's films as well.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I got them all working together to have a career. So
Too cool. That is wonderful. I mean, you got to be very proud of those two boys.
yeah, I am. They're goofballs, like Mark calls them, but they're really great kids.
Sounds like they have their heads on
Yeah.
definitely straight.
Yeah, they do. They're just really a joy.
Elaine was sharing a little bit of something about the boys before she came on the set here about the furniture being out in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they make a lot of films. They're movie makers. So I would come home and, you know, the living room furniture would be in the woods, or my garage will be painted blue, you know, and little circles all around the house. I mean, you never know what you're going to walk into when you live with filmmakers. And Mark one time went to use the garden hose, and it had thousands of holes all in the hose and got them all wet, and that was where they made rain in the garage for. So.
Hey, you got to have the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's really important.
It is really important. I mean, especially when you're making films.
Yes.
So, okay, well, I guess we're going to take another break. My, how time flies when you're having fun. So we'll be back right after these messages to the closing of Fast, Wet, and Wild. We'll be back right after this.